Hello, my name is Francis Fox. I'm a trained remote viewer, specialized in interspecies communication. All my psychic skills have been trained. I'm a businesswoman. I ran a business for 30 years that is still in existence today and doing very well. So I don't just know about the other dimensions and psychic skills. I also know about the physical dimension where until now we have to have jobs, we have to work, we have to produce income. And I have handled that very well. I enjoy business a lot, but not for the money. The money's good, but honestly, I like doing business. So this is a chat that we convert into a podcast. It's called Francis Fox News from Other Dimensions, and it's on Spotify and on Apple. I've been talking about really interesting things, and I'm in a bit of a quandary because I have some things happening that are almost not the type of thing that's appropriate for public consumption. And yet it's things that people need to know because it's being done by our officials, the people that we elected. I'm going to go ahead, and it has to do with sex. So you're going to learn a little bit about sex here, about stuff that I obviously need to know more about because this sex harvesting people's energy is apparently a big thing for the bad guys. And I'm not fully aware or in control of the information. I am going to be getting together with a few of the Mantrista movement participants, the ones that are really have learned to focus their mind and to hone their psychic skills. And we're going to go and find out more about this business of harvesting people's sexual energies. Why would government officials be involved in that? Well, from the little I understand, it gives them a lot of power. It also keeps them vital, which has to be mean they're taking our vitality, which actually it does mean that. But let me get into other stuff first. And I did do a map of the United States, which is not that much more different than yesterday. And let's go ahead and do the map first. And I have to say that it was a little bit weird because I could not uh, put up here. Give me a second. So now we're not going to have it here. It is not here. Okay. Well, I'm not going to waste your time with these issues. This is the map, which I was not able to post here. It was twice. The map from yesterday was what came me up, but we don't need to get into any of that. This is the US map from this morning. The pyramids in the Gulf of Mexico was stabilized. They're getting smaller. So there's some bad energy around, which means our frequency is dropping in this country. It makes sense with everything that's going on. The emotional reaction to all of the changes. We are in the age of transformation. You handle the changes, you do them, or they're done for you. And it's even much more chaotic. Trump is making changes, practically all of which I am in agreement with, makes sense, but there is an emotional reaction. We need to deal with that. So these pyramids are getting smaller. So the stability here is lessening. Florida looks great. New York, Washington, great. A lot of black magic in the northeast part of the country. Um, the earthquake was due to incredible rage by a group of business people. And that's what has me worried about the country because they were so angry, they created a movement, an earth movement that was an earthquake here in the Northeast. And today, when I was sketching this, I felt I needed to say, I think we're going to have natural catastrophes unless we can get the emotional response to the transformation this country voted for and most people are in agreement with. The reaction between the group that is doing it, wants it, feels it's right and the group that is perhaps getting displaced, that clash may put us and is putting us in a place of danger. There's a major depression. It's augmented. My Mantrista movement group, we worked on that last night. And what was interesting was we were working on the depression about what's going on. I said, listen, this is done. This is a decision made. This is not a question is this fair? Is it not fair? It's done. Now we as a group, I was telling them, we cannot end up with an incredible emotional reaction because that's not helping anybody. I said, so let's go ahead and clear that. We started with depression. But what I saw the group was releasing was a heck of a lot of rage. So we changed the mantra, we changed the video, and then it got smoother. And by the end of it, we did like an hour. Most of the people in the group were like, oh my God, what a relief. I didn't know I felt so bad. But we have a whole country that thinks they're feeling one thing and when they're feeling another. These people were feeling depression, and what they had was an incredible rage. When you don't know what you're feeling, your decisions are going to be very different than when you're really in touch with what you're feeling. So this miasm here, remember, it extends all the way down to Texas, goes all the way up to Canada, Alaska, Bering Strait, and over into Russia. This is a type of spirit that is not that usual on the planet, never seen one this big. It's called a miasm, and it's a congestion. It's a spirit with focused intention. And the other large one that I know is in Venezuela, and that focused intention has killed 2,000 people. But it's on a highway between Caracas and the airport. This is 1/3 of the country, plus Alaska, plus Canada, plus part of Russia. We're talking, we are in trouble. This has to be taken care of. Okay. So, and it's getting bigger, is the information I have. So, this is the map. Okay. So, let's go to the Kennedy. What are they doing? Interviewing him, battering him, trying to tear him to shreds for doing something that I think that practically everybody that's a consumer knows needs to happen. There has to be, I was just responsibility. There's not supposed to be any responsibility. I remember when I lived near US One, that there was a restaurant that opened, and the name of the restaurant was Truth, Truth, and they said, "Our food is what we say it is. None of this substituting and adding and all the rest of that." I thought that was incredible that they would name a restaurant that. But there is no truth in our food. And as I have told you, I have been told that by Mexican shamans, and they're very powerful, that the easiest way to kill your enemy is to put magic in their food. And I think that's what they've done to them. And it's not red dye number 5. There's stuff that we just don't know about. We're taking it in and it's making us different. It has dumbed us down to where now that we're waking up, we're going, how did we let that happen? And we're not saying when did that happen, because we kind of knew when it happened. We were there, but we didn't react. Why didn't we react? Because we're half asleep. I think food has a lot to do with it. So the people that for whatever reason don't want him to be messing around with food, well, they shouldn't have messed around with the food, are giving him a very hard time. I think, and I hope certainly that he will be able to take his position. And I think people are going to be shocked, absolutely shocked. This is how little we know about food. Halloween, we give candy to the kids. All of the neighbors give candy to the kids. Actually, if you go to a Thai restaurant, if you go to a restaurant from the Far East, they have candies and sweets where you pay. Those are not for the customers. Those are offerings to the spirits. Spirits like sweets. Why do they like sweets? Because sweets open a door that's called the Brahmavara in Hinduism, only 5,000 years old. And it's 2 inches below your root chakra, which is the end of the trunk of your body. And it's the door to your energy centers, chakras, that are literally in what in the Bible they call hell, down there. So when you have a big trauma, part of you breaks off your system. It goes down there and it stays there. It's yours, but it's kind of under control unless that door opens and then it comes up your system and all of a sudden you're out of control. You're crazy. You were fine 5 minutes ago and all of a sudden you lost it. It's because a part of you, a fragment of you down there, was able to come up because that door got open. It opens with fear, the main thing. It also opens with sugar. So in this country, we don't offer the sugar to the spirits to do what the Buddhists call pacify them. We give it to our kids. I mean, that's like, and we know because once Thanksgiving, Halloween is over, we say you can only have 5 pieces and the rest we're going to hold, and the whole year we'll be giving. What we don't know is actually killing us. And now we're trying to get back on track. And then we have a lot of other people that still don't know or have some kind of a vested interest in the current way of doing business. And we have this clash that I am very worried about, that it will end up being causal for natural disasters. I guess I'm not going to be able to avoid it. Let's go back. Let's go to the whole thing about sex. And I'm not going to say the name of the senator from California. I said it already. He was in my bedroom the other night. No, his physical body was not in my bedroom. His spirit body was in my bedroom. He was in a rage at me. I've never met the man. He was supervising all the intelligence agents. He wasn't, you kind of know who he is. And the secret program I was in was, I think, absolutely handled by the intelligence agencies. Okay. So the other night he was supervising black magic that was being done on me, but this is like un americano, which means an American. Very americano, very white skinned, very Anglo. But apparently he has a lot of savvy. Anyway, I told you about that, whatever, drop it. Last night he was there again. I woke up in the middle of the night and he was trying to trigger. Okay, I have been led to believe that sometimes I'm too open in the things that I say because I lived it, I'm used to it, it's been decades of therapy, and I think that everybody should be able to get it or not understand it, but apparently I shock people, and that's not what I want to do. So let me just tell you a little bit about sex. The stuff you don't know, and some of the stuff I didn't know until recently. When you go take a class on Kundalini yoga, Kundalini is like a connection to God. Basically, people to know what Kundalini is. Somebody once gave me a book on Kundalini. It was that thick. And at that time, I said, they don't know what Kundalini is, because if you have to talk that much, you do not really have a grip on the information. The truth is always very simple. So, anyway, but I asked the dolphins, and the dolphins said Kundalini is like a highway to God. And that was years ago, and I was a highway to God. Okay. I understand more now. It's a path. So, and I'm going to tell you different things that I've pieced together to make me understand. Hispanics, if you have a purse and you sit down and you put it on the floor, all the people will say, don't put that on the floor. You don't put your purse on the floor because you're too close to bad energy. The hell that's underneath the root of your body, the trunk of your body. Okay. Okay. I've never really believed that, whatever. So you just hang it on your whatever. You do whatever you want with your purse. So when I asked the dolphins at one point about Kundalini energy, which is in our connection to God, most people think it's in your first energy center, which is right there at the base of your trunk, right next to the Brahmavara, next to hell. Most people think that that's where it is, root chakra, number one chakra, energy center. But the dolphins said, no, it's not there. It is in your second energy center, which is the one called sacral. Sacred, Kundalini, connection to God. That makes sense. I haven't argued with anybody about that because I didn't feel I was in control of the information. But it makes sense. If you shouldn't put your purse on the floor because those beings that are in hell, together with those fragmented parts of you, are right underneath your root chakra, which, and the dolphins explained it to me later. You do not want the highway to God, which is what Kundalini is. You don't want it near that door to hell. So God put it in the second energy center, which is the sexual. It's the one that has to do with creation, sexuality, joy, manifestation, creation. Our biggest creation is our children, and that's where it happens. So what happened last night was I understood for the first time that something that I had been told before is that somebody can come and use your energy to get to literally God. The dolphins had said to me the reason it wasn't in the first chakra and it was in the second was so that the bad spirits couldn't use that highway, which is what Kundalini is, to get to the dimensions where God is. This person last night was trying to use my Kundalini energy to reach dimensions they're not supposed to reach through another person. It's supposed to be through them. So the Kundalini is symbolically a serpent that's rolled up 3.5 times and then it has the head. When your Kundalini rises completely, you end up with that serpent at the top of your head, like the Egyptian pharaohs, which means it's really kind of neat and indicates tremendous power if you're able to get that to happen. And that's kind of like the goal of evolution, is to go through all the blocks to be able to reach God, whatever your version of God is. I spent a long time, not 5 minutes, battling with this man to keep him away from my second chakra. And I was shocked. He was desperate to be able to make this happen. So, anyway, finally, things seemed to be, and I fell asleep. And when I woke up in the morning, he was still there and he was right after me for several hours. And then I did something that probably you won't believe in. I called in masters, but I called in masters that don't look like angels and aren't the Archangel Gabriel, even though I work a lot with Archangel Michael. Why Archangel Michael? Because he has a sword that has fire that can cut through metal. And the bad galactics, when they do implants and black magic, it's always metallic. So you can't cut it. And okay, so anyway, so I call in these masters to help, and they did. They actually basically got this man under control. Okay. So I spent the day very thoughtful, and I'm gonna find out all about this. But I spent the day thoughtful and I was thinking, we are so controlled, and we were created to create, and then we were instructed to follow rules, not to create, to follow rules. We're told what to believe in. So, what am I referring to right now? I'm not off subject. I called in for help, spiritual help. I didn't call in the Virgin Mary. Jesus is not appropriate. When it's a battle, Jesus is not appropriate because there are real battles in the other dimensions. Okay? So, I call for help and I get help. And I recognize that most people that have bought what we're sold in terms of religion would simply not accept that these beings, our spirit guides, are so evolved. But it's the same thing as the angels. Our religions teach us that the angels are good. Well, they're not human beings. They're not from this planet, obviously. They're not on this dimension. Oh, yes, but you're allowed to believe in them. Meanwhile, I have to tell you, St. Michael is really aggressive. He doesn't fool around. Really aggressive. Okay, so you can believe in angels, but you cannot believe in Anubis, which is the god of the underworld. Oh my God, the god of the underworld. Well, you know what? If you have problems with something like this man, you need the god of the underworld. Why is it that you're allowed to believe it's respectable in the angels and you should believe in them? But no, 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 no. You stay in that little box. You stay in that little box and you believe in the angels. Okay. But when it gets really tough, because when they talk about spiritual warfare, I haven't paid enough attention, but a lot of that is not going to resolve with angelic essence. It's not. There are very specialized beings whose forms are distressing to a lot of people that you can have access and get help with. And so that's what I did. I was fumbling around in the middle of the night because I was half asleep and in shock. So I got help. The Mantrista movement, we have a SWAT team, and I'll put it up on the screen now. We did not dare to put Jesus Christ in our SWAT team, even though he does show up when things get very involved. He does not actually fight. He shows up, and there's a spiritual support that we get. Here's the SWAT team. Now, these are beings that have been known through centuries. They're beings that are respected by civilizations that we respect, but we see so much that these civilizations do in archaeology, and we go, oh, look how interesting. And then we don't consider that perhaps our paradigm is really limited, and that if those civilizations reach such incredible heights, that maybe rather than looking at something that's outside of our paradigm and just going, oh, how interesting, maybe this has to do with that, maybe we should do more investigating. By the way, why are we opening up all those archaeological sites? What is the intention? If the intention is simply discovery, oh, okay, continue business as usual, and then fight amongst the archaeologists. Oh no, 5,000 years ago was when it happened, but somebody else says, no, I think it was 10. Nope, we already said it's 5,000, that's it. Why isn't the intention to learn from them? Learn from them. Anubis is like the god of the underworld. Oh, he must be bad. Actually, no. He's very operational in the underworld. You have an underworld. The Bible says it. It's down there. You have your own personal little hell. You might want to consider getting a little bit friendly with Anubis. And of course, there's many, many others of them. So I'm going to stop on that. But I have to say, even though I have known that of the Cuban political mafia, that they're totally into this really dark magic stuff. This is an Anglo. Are they associated with him? I have no idea, but they wouldn't need to be. This is esoteric knowledge that's old, but that I am going to bring it to the table so that everybody knows it and they can defend themselves. I have seen so much about harvesting people's energies and about sexual harvesting of energies, and it's continuous now, that I'm aware that we need to look into this. And what I saw in the last couple of days, that there are groups that's what they do, but they've already formed groups and they get contracts. Who are they getting contracts from? I mean, it's like, this is sickening. We're dropping that now. I'll find out more information. I will keep you updated. I will try not to make it too graphic. I would like for somebody in the government to start putting together what it is that needs to happen for us to take people like that to court. I can't call the police department. I wouldn't call them anyway because I know they can't help it. But we need to, at some point, be able to call somebody and say, "Yeah, I know they're sleeping in bed at night, their physical body, but one of their astral bodies is beating me to a pulp or assaulting me." So we need to start on that already now, and it should be in an organized fashion. Not It needs to be handled in a way that something that has been a practice since the beginning of time is legitimized, and that so the people that are not as, excuse me, powerful, or as don't have such focused intention on black magic and doing other people's harm and controlling them, so that they have some defense. Next, let's go back to the Kennedy nomination for the health department, which has, see the way I'm smiling? Oh my God, music to my ears. I love everything that he's doing. This man has been beaten up by life circumstances, but he comes from a family with a lot of trauma, and I'm sure they never did the kind of purifications that we do and we suggest, that we've learned, that are very deep and can go to root cause. That should be part of the new medical system. But there's one part of the medical system in particular, and that is intention. And I've said this story before. I gave a class years ago, and I told them I wanted to find out about psychic surgery, where you can put your hand in somebody in the other dimensions and pull out a tumor, whatever. And we wrestled the entire 6 or 8 weeks. We would get together once a week, and we didn't get any place. At that time, I wasn't as clear headed as I am today, and I was cranky because I said that that's what I wanted to get done, and it wasn't getting done. But I realized by the end of the class that we had done something else that was really interesting. The conclusion of the class was that there needs to be within the medical system a department that has to do with intention. And there have to be specialists in that department that know how to work with a person having to do with intention. And that when somebody, it is recommended that they need surgery, that you first have to go to that department and a specialist and work with them as to what your intention is having to do with your health and that surgery. And there was somebody in the group that I do believe was sick, secretly sick, physically sick. And he was crying. He said, "You cannot do this." And I said, "Okay." You would go to the specialist and work with the specialist before you would be given authorization to have surgery. And the specialist would work with you to find out what your true intention is. Because you see, many of us really want to die. So when you go into a surgery, and really the honest truth is that you just really want to die, but you don't know it, it's subconscious. And then you die on the operating table, or the surgery goes south. The doctor, of course, is a problem. But it was your intention, because intention creates reality. So it's obviously your intention. But when you set this up and you work with a specialist, this is not just something subconscious, it's discussed openly. What is your intention? Well, I need to have this surgery because I'm sick. Yeah, but what is your intention in terms of life? Let's look at this a little bit deeper. It turns out that the person is sick and tired of his life. He's old, he's sick and tired of the restrictions due to not having money or being that age or whatever. And the truth of the matter is that subconsciously he really would want to die. But then he goes ahead and he tells the intention specialist, "Yeah, but I don't want to die. I need this surgery because," and the intention specialists say, "You do not intend on living. You don't want to live. You have a subconscious, and now we're talking about it. So maybe it's conscious if you accept it, but I cannot give you the authorization to get that surgery. It's not going to work." So this person that participated in my group was crying. He says, "You can't stop people from getting medical treatment that they need." And I said, in the first place, I'm not doing this. This is what is being suggested with our research. But it makes sense because you see, that same person can work with the patient and say, let's work with what's going on in your life to where you have this deep subconscious intention to die. We're not going to have you screw up the doctor, take up the operating room. Let's work on what's going on. Maybe there's stuff that can change to where you can be happier. Anyway, so Kennedy, I think it would be incredible. And obviously, initially, we would not be able to say to people, no, you're not going to get authorization for that surgery that your physical body needs, because guess what? At a causal level, your spirit, you don't want to live. Why on earth would we put you through a surgery, or the doctor through the surgery, or the nurses that attend, and the operating room and the cost, if the truth of the matter is, you don't want to survive it. So just simply having this discussion opens up our mind. The fact that they have statistics on when people are on their deathbed, and then they have people from flying from different parts of the world or the country to come say goodbye, and they don't die over the weekend, according to statistics from what I've read. They wait until that last person comes to say goodbye, and then they die. Obviously, it's their intention. Oh, no, that's God. God is involved in everything, but this is a planet of free will, and intention creates reality. So I just want to put that out there to Kennedy, and I certainly hope that he is able to get through these very cranky people in the congressional hearings who are being confronted by an incredible paradigm shift that's basically going back to basics. Food is supposed to be food. You know that I lived with an Ayurvedic physician for about 6 months. He came to the United States to get a degree in I don't remember what, to be able to do some of his practice here. Um, And so he would see the food that I was eating, this was 30 years, 40 years ago. And at that point, it's when they came up with the fat-free stuff. And he said, God, when they God made a food, he made it complete. If you take something out of it, that's not food anymore. I didn't like that. I thought he was being very judgmental. But if you look back, when you go back to when we had started with the fat free and the sugar free and the reduced whatever, first place, it's not food. And that we just got heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. And the people that are, and even today, are eating that fat free, low fat, reduced whatever, they're not any thinner. So you end up eating something that's not food and it's not working anyway. But nobody noticed. Why didn't they notice? And this whole thing about why weren't people aware? Why wasn't I aware? And I think it's because people have been living off of my energy for a long time. But we are going to continue to investigate. We're going to let you know. And you can sit there and simply listen to what I have to say. You don't have to believe it, but you have the information. I didn't have the information. A lot of people don't have the information. The information will be there. Don't reject it. Knowledge is power. The Buddha said that the basis of human anguish is ignorance, and ignorance is simply a lack of information. So, why don't we go ahead and see if we can't reduce some of the rage that's in the United States today? I would like for you to focus on if you want, but maybe you could focus on your home or one of your kids or whatever. Just focus on the congressional hearings and in your mind, do a visualization where you're putting blocks of ice, in the congressional hearings and everything having to do with that. Or if there's some law that passed that you don't like, or if there's something that you don't like, just put ice on them, visualize them under the cascading water, which I'm going to put on the screen in the video. And the mantra is, let's hope I don't get any kickback from you guys today. Today's the beginning of the Chinese Year of the Serpent. And I saw a serpent last night. Yep. Okay, so the mantra is the fox purification mantra. And it is, even though I hate, I love and accept myself. And you see, It doesn't have to be you that hates, because this energy transfers. It can be the whole group of people that don't like what's happening in the country today, or the whole group of people that don't like immigrants, or the whole group of people that whatever. It transfers. When you say, even though I hate, what you're doing is you're pulling it into your system, and then I love and accept myself, and it is going out. You have vacuumed it up and out. It doesn't stay with you. It does not stay with you. Got it? So let's do this for 7 minutes. I don't know why seven's a magic number. Maybe that's why I'm saying seven. And this Mantrista music video is on our YouTube channel, Francis Fox Reveals, under Mantrista Music. This is reduces fire. Fire is the element that is the gasoline for anger, violence, hatred. How do you feel? Isn't that nice? See the way my voice is softer? Just looking at the water. Every frequency in the music composition by Mateo Cuaron and the images all are there to reduce the fire element, which is the basis for insomnia. If you have insomnia, you have too much fire, anxiety, irritation, anger, hatred, emotional violence, physical violence, and suicide. All of those things I just said are due to an excess of the fire element. And we know how violence on the planet is out of control and nobody knows where it starts. I don't even try to discuss it publicly very much anymore because people just can't hear it. They can't hear it. They can't hear it. So we have finished for today. And I promise you that I'm going to get to the bottom of the esoteric part of the dark side of magic applied to sexuality. And I'll remind you that the issue of sex is so incredible that it's going to erase populations from the planet. What am I talking about? Population collapse. I find it interesting when they talk about population collapse. How do we handle this? What do we do? And nobody is dealing with the fact that nobody wants to have sex anymore. The younger people don't have sex. They'll lay in bed with somebody they like, they consider their girlfriend, boyfriend. They don't have sex. Those of us that are older, we were like, what? Wait. Sex is an instinct. It's required for the population and humans to continue, and it is gone. So this whole thing about sex, I'm talking about the weird stuff because it's a heavy duty politician in charge of a lot of stuff that's totally caught up with that. And the group that controlled me for decades, the Cuban political mafia, ugly. But we don't know enough about it. So the people that do, and this expression in Spanish is como perro por su casa, like a dog is inside his house, fine, free, no problem. We will see you again. Thank you for listening. Please share. Be nice to wake people up. And again, you don't have to agree with me. I'm just giving information. But it is information, most of which, if you look deep enough, it's already written. People have known about it through centuries. We're living modern life thinking that we're immune to all this dark magic stuff, and we're not. Thank you. Bye. Keep putting ice on the chambers where they're doing these discussions about the nominees. And you're not trying to put out anybody's fire or to make anybody weak. You are reducing, when you put ice on them in the other dimensions, you're reducing the extra fire. They themselves are going to feel better. They're going to make more sense. When they speak, they're going to be able to speak more clearly without so much obvious hatred and anger, etc., which makes them look better. You're not damaging anybody. It is not unethical. That's what I'm trying to say. Bye.